That's annoying that I've sat here for 20 minutes. It's annoying that I've sat here for 20 minutes trying to figure out what was wrong. And it could have just told me. And if it would have told me, then I would have immediately zeroed in on what to do and where to fix it. And, you know? You know what I mean? Oh, thank you, by the way. Hang on. That's because I hadn't integrated the chat yet. Should see it now. Yeah, we're good on YouTube there. And we're good on the vertical. I hadn't integrated the chat yet. I apologize. Hello there. All right, we're good to go. All right. I want something else. Now, the other aspect that I have to do here is that I have to go in and I have to set the thumbnails to YouTube. It just happened over time. I don't know what happened, Peach. Even the doctor doesn't know what happened. Like they just said that I have significant bone gaps in the bones in my ears. But if you know how ears work, like the bones in your ears are like a honeycomb, and mine are they just don't work right. They're broken. So the vibrations don't. The way that you hear is that sound comes in and it vibrates the bone in your ear, and the bone in your ear then you know what I mean? Like I don't understand the science of how it completely works out, but because the bones are broken inside of the honeycombs, the audio doesn't transfer correctly. The sound doesn't travel through properly. Uh, 80% lost in the left ear and 70% in the right ear. But I mean, I mean, you guys, you guys, all good, Peach. You guys are mostly used to this, I think. Those of you that are around me every day and talk to me a lot, but I read lips relatively well. It's one of those things where I'm not perfect at it. I'm not perfect at it. It's something that I'm developing, and I mean, I was working on it for a long time. Before I got hearing aids, I used to watch. Before I got hearing aids, I used to watch TV with Butterfly with the hearing or with the closed captions on, so it started to help me pick up on how to read lips. It helped me learn how to read lips a little bit. And so basically right now what I would say is that it's a combination, because everybody's mouth moves a little bit differently when they speak. So right now what it is a combination of the little bit that I can hear with how your mouth moves will help me pick up on what you're saying in those moments where I normally wouldn't be able to hear you otherwise. All right, so I hope nobody's downstairs that doesn't want to be on camera, because we're about to swap scenes and we're gonna switch and we're gonna move. Double check and make sure that we're working here. Check. Okay, we're on a different mic. I probably sound a little bit different right now, even though you can see me still. Oh, where do we go? Now, we have music, and we should have DMCA free music. We don't. All right. I'll see you guys in the kitchen momentarily, chat. Yep. Mic check. We're good to go. Music should be playing still. All right. So yesterday I did a little bit of a test run. We should hear me now, right? We good? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Yesterday I did a bit of a test run. We made some homemade cornbread. It's my first time ever making homemade cornbread, but that's where we're going to start here. I know it might seem like it's a little backwards. No? Good. Thanks. I know it might seem like it's a little backwards, but Dakota with the raid. Let's go, Dakota. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Hope you had good games, brother. I saw you were streaming. I'm sorry. I was too busy getting ready for the kitchen and I wasn't able to stop in and say hello. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is the cornbread, which I forgot to write the recipe down for. Son of a bitch. Games were fucking terrible for me last night as well. Not even joking. The games were absolutely fucking shit. I have to think about what to do here. Oh, I know what to do. Nah, it's all good. I know what to do because I got my cell phone right here. So we're gonna go to Discord on my cell phone because the cornbread recipe is in the cooking channel. So the homemade cornbread, pretty good. It was fantastic because we're doing we're doing an oven roasted chicken with a jambalaya styled type of rice, and I say jambalaya styled because it's jambalaya is typically going to have, you would have things like chicken in there, and then you would also have things like an andouille sausage in there, and then you would also have fucking seafood in there. I'm not putting seafood in there, and I'm not cooking the chicken. I'm not cooking the actual protein inside of the rice. So what I'm going to do with the rice isn't going to be a truly classic, like the whole, it's like a jambalaya is like a one pot meal basically. It's all everything all in one, and I'm not doing that. It's kind of like a deconstructed type of thing with no seafood. So you think the servers have fallen apart, Mac? Like I'm seeing desync, Mac, and that's, I mean, on some level the desync is, the desync, right? But I don't feel like I've had laggy bad servers or anything like that. In fact, I don't know if you've heard me say this, Mac, but I was running exit lag before I got somebody else said that, Dakota. Somebody told me that it seems like in the gulag your ping changes, it doubles. You see, I only really play overnight, so I can't speak to what the lobbies feel like during the day. I don't know. I'm doubling the recipe. Sorry, I don't want to get too far, too sidetracked here. I already cut the butter here because I'm going to do a couple things with the cornbread. We made the cornbread yesterday, and it's a sweeter cornbread. And the reason I went with the sweet cornbread instead of a savory cornbread
is because I'm going with the spicy. We have spicy sausage going into the rice. I also am going to use Kashmiri chili powder, which is a spicy chili powder. I didn't get any jalapenos or anything like that, but there is going to be some pepperiness to the dish. And a good thing to balance out pepperiness is some sweetness. So I went with the sweet type of cornbread, and because of that, I actually have some butter softening on the counter as well. I may end up having to microwave that a little bit to get it to fully soften up. But in the meantime, I'm going to melt this butter for the the cornbread. And I'm actually going to brown it a little bit because it gives a nuttier flavor to it. And when I say brown butter, I don't know if you've ever had brown butter, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about. But basically, you're kind of toasting up the fats that are in the solids that are in the butter. So I'm going to turn this on like a low medium heat, there. And as it starts to melt down, I'll start to make sure that I'm constantly stirring it so I don't end up having it burn. The spicy noodles, thank you very much. Yeah, so you can add, anytime you make cornbread, you can add whatever you want, right? Like I realistically, I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of silly to add corn to cornbread. It seems obnoxious. It seems redundant. But the way spicy noodles, I don't know if I just said this or not. Thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it greatly. So I want, in this particular case, like I said, sweet. I'm a big fan of balance. Valkyrie, I think this might be your first cooking stream here. And when it comes to food, I'm a big advocate of balance. So I don't want anything. You don't want too much of anything. I made carbonara as a for instance, right? And when I made the carbonara, I think that's when I did it. I forget what I did for the side dish, but I went with something light and refreshing as an accompaniment to it, right? Because so I made a scampi dish a few weeks back. This is a good one. I made a scampi dish, and that is a very rich dish. It's a very garlicky dish. It's a very heavy dish, right? It's pasta and everything like that. And in order to cut through that, I made a bruschetta. And I made the homemade bread, but then we made a tomato bruschetta because you have that richness, and then you have the light, refreshing acidity from the tomato and everything, and it cuts through it, and it creates a really balanced profile. So with the kind of heavy wintry with the kind of heavy wintry kind of dish that jambalaya is, that right, it's like a warm and cozy thing. It's not quite stew, but it's kind of there. It's a one pot meal, and it's got some spiciness to it. I wanted to have the sweet cakier type of cornbread with it. So the butter is softening there because I didn't do this last night. This is my first time making the cornbread, but so last night I just ate, and I ate almost the whole thing. But I'm going to make some honey butter as well. I have some honey in here, and I have some butter softening up. I'm not going to do much. The recipe that we have in the Discord, and if you put ! Recipe in chat, it'll pull it up, the commands for it. I'm actually doubling it because that recipe was told to be cooked in a 9-inch cast iron, which I don't have. As you can tell, I have the 14-inch cast iron here. So I'm going to double the recipe, is the bottom line with that. So first things first, we're going to get all the dry ingredients measured. We're going to get all the dry ingredients measured up. I seem to always forget one fucking utensil. So it calls for 2 cups flour. I don't know if you guys remember this or if you guys know this, but when it comes to baking, which this is, when it comes to baking, you don't want to pack the ingredients or anything like that. You're going to scoop the ingredients, and you're going to have a bunch of over on the top there. And you generally want to take the back of a flat knife or something like that and just scrape it across. You don't want to pack it in. Way more of a baker than a cook. Well, I am not a baker in any sense of the fucking word. I started doing these, and Butterfly and I both love bread. We will mix up on a plate. We'll mix up olive oil with garlic and herbs and things like that, and then just dip bread into it. So I have started learning how to make bread. Wow. So I started learning how to make bread. So I do have things down underneath, like I have wheat flour now, and I have some I have bread flour down there now, and I made a baguette is one of the first, that's the first bread that I started to make, and then I actually made my own pretzel rolls for the burgers that I did a few weeks back as well. Um, so I'm learning how to make bread, and that's probably about the extent of quote unquote baking that I'm probably going to go to. Although, I mean, I don't know. I've got baking powder now. I've got baking soda. Maybe we'll make some fucking cookies one day. I don't know. I'm not. Baking is a science, and I don't like it. I don't want to have to be precise. I don't want to have to measure ingredients to the exact gram or the exact millimeter or whatever it is. I just want to cook. I want to put more of what I want into it and taste it and like it and take less of it. And, you know, baking's a science, cooking is an art. Until you get to the point of decorating those types of things. So I need 2 cups of cornmeal now. I'm going to pour this out into the bowl so that I can get the measurement better. I made a mess when I did this last night. Believe it or not, I ate all of that cornbread. Making cookies needs to have it. I know some people might call it cannibalism, but I am. It's funny. The decorating part is the artistic part of the cake making. Years ago, when I was still cooking, I made my daughter's birthday cake one year. And mind you, the cake was out of the box, but I actually decorated it. I don't know if you guys know those Bratz dolls. I don't know if they're still a thing, but they were a thing. The Bratz. She liked the Bratz dolls, and so I actually like drew a Bratz doll face onto the face of the cake and icing and things like that. So we're mixing ground cornmeal with flour and sugar. It's 2/3 a cup of sugar is what the recipe calls for. So we're mixing all the dry ingredients together first, by the way. I'm starting to hear that butter pop a little bit. Remember, we're doubling the recipe, so it calls for 2/3 of a cup, which is 1 1/3 of a cup of sugar. FYI, in case you didn't know. I guess I gotta pour more sugar in here. I'm doing it over the bowl just because I don't want to pour all this shit over the counter, even though I know I have spilt a little bit on the counter. I want to be able to scoop the excess. I want to be able to scoop more than I need and then scrape the excess off. Is that how math works? Yeah. So 2/3 of a cup of sugar twice is 4/3 of a cup, which is 1 1/3 of a cup. That's how fractions work. I don't know if you were being facetious or not. I think you probably were, but I can't hear your voice. So, hard to say. I'm guessing that you were, though. I doubt that you guys can hear it, but the butter is starting to snap and crackle. Totally was. I kind of figured that. You can hear the butter starting to pop a little bit. And now that the butter is starting to pop a little bit is when you're going to want to make sure that you're really paying attention to it. So I've got the flour, the sugar. I need to get the salt and the baking powder in here. But now that the butter is crackling a little bit. By the way, eventually I'm going to work on getting some better cameras for down here. We're currently streaming off of a cell phone camera, which is great. Don't get me wrong. And it goes directly to OBS, which is how I'm able to walk upstairs and downstairs. It's how I'm able to walk upstairs and downstairs and not shut off the stream because we're streaming directly off of the streaming PC. But eventually I'd like to have like maybe like a GoPro type of camera on here so you guys can see what I'm doing. Even when I bring things over to the camera now, it's not like the best. It's not like the best view of things. Half a teaspoon of baking powder. And then 1 teaspoon of salt. There's a lesson there. Believe it or not, there's a lesson there. When it comes to pouring dry ingredients into utensils and things like that to measure with, I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Don't do it over the mixing bowl that you're using it in, because if you do it over the mixing bowl that you're using it in and you pour out too much of it, you end up with too much in there and you've ruined the mix and you can't take it out. This would have been a full teaspoon of salt too much, and I wouldn't have known how much was in there. That said, I'm not going to throw the salt away because I know my countertop is clean. I am going to use the salt that I just spilled onto the counter. So in terms of baking something like this, you're going to want to make sure that you don't pour things over the dry ingredients bowl or any of the ingredients bowls. For that matter, I need 2 cups of milk. Those of you that are new to the stream, I'm a bit of a I don't know, maybe it's a bit OCD, maybe it's just because it's practice to do so. But I can't stand working in the kitchen. I can't stand cooking with a mess around me. So I will be on and off camera occasionally cleaning up some of the things that I've used for ingredients or for dishes. If you clean as you go, the kitchen's a hell of a lot easier to deal with cleaning at the end of it, for one. And when it comes to being neat and organized, it makes life easier and more efficient inside of the kitchen. Can't stand working inside of a messy kitchen, cluttered. It's annoying. So the butter is fully melted over here, but there's solids inside the butter, and you can see that when you melt it down, like the white stuff that ends up floating to the top. I want this to be brown butter, so I'm gonna continue to let the butter kind of melt down in here as I watch it, looking for those things. It's gonna turn into a brown color. It literally is why it's called brown butter. In the meantime, as it goes, we have, I believe it's 2 eggs, 2 cups of milk. I'm going to mix up the flour. Sorry for that. I'm going to mix up the flour so that all the dry ingredients are evenly mixed throughout. And we're going to get the 2 cups of milk ready to go. Because there's eggs in the recipe, we're not going to want to pour this butter fresh out of the hot pan right onto the eggs, because it will cook the eggs and it'll ruin the dish. So what I'm going to do over here inside this pan is I'm going to put a couple of ice cubes in the butter, and I'm going to start to cool off the butter. I'm just going to whisk in the ice cubes into the butter to bring the temperature down on it. Just a couple of little ice cubes, nothing crazy. So as you melt the butter down, you'll be able to see that it's starting to turn brown, and you can smell that it's starting to brown up too. It becomes nuttier and a lot more aromatic. Normally melting butter down, you probably don't smell much of anything, but as the fats, as the solids start to toast up a little bit, you'll start to get that aroma. And it smells delicious, by the way. Brown butter is a fantastically simplistic thing to add to a dish that really brings a lot of complexity to the flavor and it just adds a lot of value to the flavor. It's such an easy thing to do. You need to be careful when you're doing it, though. You need to constantly stir, and you need to pay attention to it, because it will go from brown to burnt in the blink of an eye, and it'll be too late. My favorite dish to make, this is going to sound like a cop-out, but it's sincerely not. One of my favorite, most satisfying things to do as a cook, is to make food George Hopkins, thank you for the biddy. One of my favorite things to do as a cook is to make food. Fuck's sake, bro. I'm chalked right now. I dropped my ice cubes. One of my favorite things to do as a cook is to make food that you don't like. So Beer Man, as a for instance, you've met Beer Man, I believe, right? I don't know if he was in the games with us the other day or not. I think he was. Beer Man. Right. Beer Man doesn't like broccoli. As a good example. Beer Man doesn't like vegetables. Really. At all. So, one of the things... What's up, Dinger? How are you, brother? One of the things... When I first met Beer Man, the first time meeting him, he came over to the house and we were having dinner. One of the things that I made for dinner, I was making steak with oven roasted potatoes, and I made broccoli. And he told me ahead of time that he hates vegetables. He didn't care, and he didn't want to eat any of the vegetables. And I was like, well, you have to at least honor me by trying the vegetables that I'm about to make for you. I'm adding, by the way, in case you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm trying to cool this down. I know I kind of said that, but I'm trying to cool this down so that the butter is not so hot that it cooks the egg. That's the whole purpose of what I'm doing here. So if there's a particular food item that you tell me that you don't like, Jesus Christ, I'm so fucked right now. If there's a particular food item that you tell me that you don't like, I'm going to automatically go off of the premise and the idea that you probably haven't had it prepared correctly. Whether that's because you don't know how to prepare it correctly yourself, or you ate at some restaurant where some fucking idiot was trying to do something with it that they shouldn't have, or they overcooked it. Black olives. I mean, that's a tough one. I'd probably try to do something like a tapenade with it. Right. So when it comes to my favorite dish, the favorite quote unquote dish for me is going to be making something that you think that you don't like and having you enjoy it. For myself, I for years would have told you that I hated scallops. Not a chance in hell I'm eating scallops. I don't like scallops whatsoever. I'm not eating them. And when I started working at the casino, I told an older chef that. I told an older chef, well, he was a cook. You can call him a chef, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But I told him that I didn't like scallops, and he was like, no, 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 no. There's no way. And he went onto the line, and he made scallops for me. And I ate those scallops, and they were delicious. And I'm not going to lie to you, I absolutely fell in love with scallops after that. They were sea scallops, so they're the very big ones, right? But I used to hate scallops. There was not a chance I was ever going to order scallops anywhere. And even now, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm probably not going to order scallops anywhere because most people are probably going to overcook them. So unless I'm at a higher end restaurant, I'm not ordering your scallops because you're probably going to fuck them up. That's my personal take. But so it's making something that you think you don't like and having you enjoy it. Now, I may fail. There are some things, and even myself is going to be honest with you and tell you that, like fennel. Fennel is the worst thing on earth. I'm with you on liver as well. I'm not a big fan of liver. It's very earthy in a bad way. Liver is very earthy in a way that is just indescribable. If you've had liver, you know. If you like it, GG's to you. If you don't like it, we're in the same fucking boat. Or we're in the same boat. Yeah. Right, except fennel. Fennel is black licorice. Fennel root is, it's God's way of punishing your fucking tongue. You're not supposed to eat that shit. You can't convince me that black licorice is something that anybody's supposed to eat. I don't. If you like it, yeah, you like it. But no, black licorice is fucking. Fennel seed though, it doesn't taste like black licorice. What's up, Flock? Fennel seed doesn't taste like black licorice though. It doesn't. I like fennel seed in my sausage and things. I don't like fennel as a root. The bulb root that it is fucking disgusting. Favorite Burger King cook? Okay, Flock. This is how we're just starting the day off like this, Flock. This is what we're doing. I mean, the fuck you cook, that's just an accepted way of greeting me. I get that, right? I understand that part of it. I'm not mad about that part of it, right? Very fluent in violence. Fair enough. Fair enough. I respect how much you lay into it. Little tips and trick of the trade. When it comes to cracking eggs, you might have the inclination to crack them on the corner, an edge. Don't crack them on the edge. Crack them on a flat surface. If you crack them on an edge, you're more likely to get chips of eggs inside your fucking food. I accidentally fucking got flour on the ground doing that, and I'm slipping and sliding over here. And it's going to drive me fucking nutty. There we go. That's better. All right, so you probably saw me put the cast iron in the oven. I'm trying to allow it to warm up a little bit. What I was told and what I found from the recipes here is that we should be looking at the dish sizzling. We should hear a snap, crackle, pop when we pour in the batter. So you want it hot to some level. I'm kind of waiting. There's flour in this recipe. Some recipes call for flour, some don't. Jesus Christ, Flock. Flock! I like pineapple on pizza. I don't know. I actually prefer. I like Hawaiian pizzas. But when I take a Hawaiian pizza, I actually, instead of doing ham, I typically do bacon on it. We actually made homemade pizzas a few weeks back, and mine was Hawaiian. I prefer to do Hawaiian, jalapeno, and bacon. I think it's a fantastic combination of flavors. It's absolutely fucking delicious. And I don't give two fucking hell if the shits are fucking Gordon Ramsay. Listen, I like Gordon Ramsay. Honestly, I do. But Gordon Ramsay can kiss my fucking ass with his opinion on pineapples on pizza. You can miss me with that shit, Gordon. I think within reason, my philosophy on food, Valkyrie, is no. My philosophy on food is that there are some fundamental rules. Yeah, why am I taking it back? I love pineapple on pizza. What are we talking about? What am I taking back then? Are you listening? My fundamental philosophy with food is that obviously there are things that we shouldn't do, right? Like, for the most part, I think we understand some of those things. Like, you're not going to put chocolate sauce on a fucking piece of tuna, right? Like, if you do that, then you probably deserve to have a frying pan thrown at your fucking head, right? These are things that are common sense. But I think for the most part, food is... I don't know where Moose is. No, I love it. I love it, bro. I think for the most part, food is... It's called the culinary arts for a reason, and I think that you have a lot of artistic freedom, and I think especially with everybody's palates being different, and everybody's going to have different taste buds. I might like things significantly spicier than you like them. You may not like garlic, and I like garlic, so there's a lot of freedom, I think. There's a lot of freedom, I think, in people's ability to kind of venture out and do things, and Gordon doesn't want fucking pineapple on pizza, then, hey, I respect it, but I'm also not going to accept that as being criticism for what my palate is to what your palate is. Like, I can taste something and probably tell you what's in it. I've done this frequently with food that I've had at restaurants. I've come home and I've replicated those recipes just based off of fucking tasting them alone. So I know what I'm tasting for, and I know how to taste things, and I know how to discern kind of what's in there. And for the most part, I can probably figure out what's in a dish just by eating it. And I don't think that we should be limiting people as long as it's within the reason of reasonable. Then I think that there are some things that are just accepted as being unreasonable. Again, you go back to, but what's wrong with putting fruit on fruit? I mean, we're talking about pineapple going on tomato. Whether you like it or not, it is in fact a fruit, and there's a reason that it is a fruit. It's part of the way that it's grown. It's part of the way that it tastes. Tomatoes have a great sweetness to them if you're paying attention to it. So I don't think we should be judging people. This is getting warm, and I can tell the butter's starting to brown. I'm going to pull that off for a second. We don't want to mix this too much because there's flour in it. So I'm mixing the butter in now. I'm mixing the eggs in now. We don't want to mix this too much. We don't want to stretch out the glutens and shit in the flour. So we're really just trying to get this mixed up to where all the ingredients are incorporated, mixed well, and smooth. I don't know if I said this last night on stream, but I made some mistakes yesterday, having done this for the first time. Also doubling the recipe and not having an exact recipe to follow for something like this, which is baking. But I pulled it out of the oven too early yesterday. And so it was a little gooey through like the center circle of it. Not good. Not something you want to taste. raw dough like that. And I also flipped it out of the cast iron too soon, so it broke. So we're going to go a little bit longer. Unfortunately, I didn't let the pan heat up enough either, I think. Or maybe I shouldn't have pulled it off. I'm not really sure. I didn't get any sizzle here. So yesterday I started out with 20 minutes and I left it in there for another 5. So today I'm going to set this in here for, I don't know. Alexa, set a timer for 28 minutes. Less talking, more singing. I can't hear the music. The music is all for you guys when I'm doing these cooking streams, Flock. I do have the ability to change the track, I think. If I open up Spotify on my phone or my tablet, I believe I would have the ability to change the song. At least for those of you on Twitch. For those of you on Kick, Rumble, or YouTube, there is no option. I have no opportunity to change the track. It's just a DMCA free playlist. I apologize for any commercials that you'll hear. So the next thing that I'm going to do, I don't know if you guys know Flock. I think you probably know him because of Grits and Drade in the community. But OG's Labs is a 59-year-old Warzone player. He also streams on Twitch and now YouTube, actually. But I was talking to him the other day, and I said that I was going to make a little. Said he can't find. He can find boneless chicken thighs, but they all have the skin off. So he's trying to shop, and he can't get what he wants is boneless chicken thighs with the skin on. But everywhere that he's finding them is with the skin removed. And I asked him how his knife skills were, and he was like, "Nope, that's not me." And I was like, "Well, surely he's a former professional angler, actually on ESPN and stuff. I don't know much about that aspect of it, but I said, well, surely with your fishing experience, you know how to fillet a fish." And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, I would imagine that you can do it then." So one of these pieces of chicken I'm going to debone and then make a clip of it to send him. Go to a butcher shop is probably 50 years old, 59 years old, and still not as big of a boomer as I am. Okay. You know what, Flock? I'm gonna ban you. But I'm not gonna ban you like ban you, Flock. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ban the word boomer in my chat, so it automatically body slams you every time, and it just deletes your fucking message. I'm gonna figure out the keywords. I'm gonna figure out the keywords that you want. I'm gonna start adding them to the banned block or the banned word list. And Stream Elements is just gonna do what it does. You know that thing where you call me? What is it that you call me? A fascist? I believe you call me a fascist pig because you can't say I stream in my chat, right? So the rest of your messages will come through except those. So you're gonna feel like you're able to talk freely. Yeah, commie. That's what you call me, a commie. Right. See if this butter is softened up for the honey butter. I'm gonna set it. That's a paper plate on an oven. Don't do that. All right. So next step, I'm gonna start prepping up the veggies for everything. The rice, the rice, the Brussels sprouts, the onion that Butterfly destroyed. I'm going to throw some peppers, some tomatoes. I'm going to put the tomatoes in the rice at the end. I forgot to buy tomatoes, but Butterfly did. Love you, babe. I'm taking her tomatoes. I don't know if she can hear me, but I'm stealing the tomatoes. You're about to spend $90 on a pillow? You care to elaborate on why you're spending that much money on a pillow? Something wrong with your neck? Something wrong with her neck? What are we doing, Benny? Right. Sorry. I wasn't thinking about the conversion. I won't lie to you, but yeah. What are we doing? Your neck and shoulder is fucked? From what? Flock, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but we are in fact on the internet, and I would probably refrain from going further about it because the criminality of the things that you've spent more than $90 on, I think they're only legal in places like Vegas. If you know, you know. What's up, Shots? Think of how much I spent. All right. Vinny, I wasn't saying anything. I was talking about, but I was talking about Flock, Benny, not you. I don't know why you decided to come attack me, Benny. All right. This is going to happen off camera, but what's up, Linz? How are you? We're rinsing our vegetables. The way that I do that is I fill up a bowl with water. I put them in there. I agitate the shit out of them. And then I pour them over a colander. And then I do it again. That is what I would suggest all of you do. Whether you're cooking the vegetables or not cooking the vegetables, it doesn't really fucking matter. You should still rinse them. You want to get the dirt off the veggies. The dirt that is inherently going to be on the veggies, because I don't know if anybody's aware of this or not, but vegetables grow in dirt. Well, so there, I mean, there's another note to go off of right there, Flock. But the truth is, when it comes to washing vegetables, all you're really going to remove is going to be the dirt. I mean, maybe some germs are going to get removed off of it, but I don't know if you guys remember hearing about the E. coli outbreaks that happened on romaine. I don't know, 10 years ago now. It's hard to say. But the E. coli outbreaks that were happening on romaine lettuce, it was happening because the dairy farms and the cattle farms were upstream or upriver, up water flow from the romaine lettuce fields. And so the water runoff was going downhill, and that's how the E. coli ended up getting into the romaine. Tricky thing about E. coli is you can't wash E. coli off. Lemon juice won't do it. Vinegar won't do it. The only way to get rid of E. coli is to fucking cook it. So, as much as rinsing your vegetables is only going to provide you some removal of, insects and some very minor germs and things like that, I would still advise that you do it. It's still in your best interest to wash the bugs and the dirt off. Yes, fruits as well. I don't know whether or not a banana is considered a fruit. I don't know what the categorization is on it, but obviously you're not going to rinse the inside of a banana. It has a natural peel, which allows you to, like you don't rinse the inside of an orange. Flock, I understand being violent to me, but Vinny's just talking about some health issues that he's having. I don't think we need to go, damn, I wish I cared, That's fucked up, Flock. Assaulting me is par for the course, but Benny's done nothing to you, Flock. No, I think you were unprovokedly attacking Venny for no reason, Flock. Which is crazy, by the way. Venny's never done anything to you, Flock. It's insane, to be honest. It's absolutely insane. Wait, I don't. Now, see, now I don't. Now I feel like Valkyrie's being sarcastic, but I don't even know what about at this point. All right. I'm going to grab a bowl to put these. We're gonna cut up the asparagus. We're gonna cut up the Brussels sprouts first. I don't even know what we're being sarcastic about. I'm just going to cut these Brussels sprouts in half. We're going to oven roast these. I'm going to toss these up in some olive oil, some salt, some pepper. And I'm actually going to, I have some fresh garlic. Okay, I see what's happening now. I see. I'm glad I was at least able to receive the sarcasm that was being said. You're on the wrong platform for that stream, Flock. Wrong platform for that stream. Although, Flock, there is isn't it it's a Chinese delicacy, isn't it? There's like a 100-year-old egg, which is like a fertilized egg, a fertilized chicken egg that's been fermented and like fucking cured and right? Like they bury that shit under the dirt and sulfur and fucking pull it out in like fucking a year and a half. Yeah, that egg is disgusting. Century egg? Thank you, Smitty. I appreciate that. Don't they bury it in the dirt? It is black. It is black. I've seen it. I think those of you that are older might understand or might know what I'm talking about, but Fear Factor is a show. I swear to God, they had to eat that egg on Fear Factor. I do believe it is black, though. It's been a minute since I've seen one. I've never seen one in real life. It's not actually, it's funny they call it a century egg, but it's not actually 100 years old. Fear factor was gross. I concur. So Butterfly's been telling me with this little trick that part of the reason that it's not working well is because I'm using a plastic dish. So I'm gonna use a glass bowl this time and see if this helps for removing the peels off of the garlic here. And I'm going to do a fair bit of garlic, but I'm going to make sure that I don't overstuff the bowl. Because I want garlic for the rice. I want garlic for the rice. As well as, I think I'm probably going to throw some garlic in with the chicken. She might have been right. The glass might be the fucking W. That does seem like it worked better. Not gonna lie. But if you overstuff it, it still won't work.
Oh, those guys, they're the villagers, they love crushing loaf.
No, Valkyrie. That's just not the case. Poggers, that's also incorrect too. The customer's not always right. In fact, I used to have this chef that would say, the customer's not always right. And if they've had more than one drink, they're almost never right. Again, Valkyrie, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Flock might be interested, though. Not always. Well, I mean, I'm just referencing, the legality of the statement about fucking the customer. I think most places that you'll go inside the United States, you're going to find that it's not okay to fuck the customer. But, we listen, we do not judge, Your Warzone customers. Wait. What do you mean your Warzone customers, Poggers? Are you out here writing fucking exe files? Are you the one creating the fucking hacks, Poggers? I'm definitely... I don't hear very much, so listening is debatable on my end. And I'm absolutely always fucking judging. But to be fair, I don't know if you guys know this or not. I've been streaming for a while, and you guys have a tendency to fucking attack everything that I say and do. So my judgmental fucking nature has been expanded on by your guys' fucking hostility. I know we get a lot of jokes about, can I come over and have dinner? Can I come over and have dinner? I don't know when or if it's gonna be in the realm of possible, but maybe one of these days I end up going to some type of fucking like streamer thing or something like that. You know what I mean? Like the whatever the what was it one they just had DreamHack or something like that. Maybe one of these days I go to DreamHack or something and can figure out a way to set up that what I'm gonna do while I'm there is fucking cook for everybody. I don't know. Down the road, long-term plans, you know? Alexa, how much time on the timer? Cook versus AI Gordon Ramsay? What is AI Gordon Ramsay? It is a Louisiana thing. I mean, I don't know if I would categorize it as strictly Louisiana, but I would categorize it as Creole. Like it's a Southern Creole type of thing. I'm doing a bit of a rough chop for about half of this. I'm going to put some of this in the rice. And I don't want it to be so fine that it has the potential to burn. So the rest I'm going to leave in slices. It's going to go in with the garlic. It's going to go in with the well, it's not the rest. We're going to put that in here. It's going to be part of the roasting process. Maybe it will be the rest. Skylab, thank you very much for the follow. How we doing? What's up, Unrated? Aim assist is helping me lock into the mushrooms persistent. This is garlic persistent. It's garlic, bro. It's literally fucking garlic. And there's no aim assist when it comes to my knife. We can tell that there's no aim assist when it comes to my knife, both in-game and IRL, by the way. Do I like pork chops? I'm not really the biggest fan of pork. In terms of proteins, I find pork to be one of the most boring proteins that you can eat. It's such a dull, plain protein. I don't know. I've never been the biggest fan of pork. I'm not saying it can't be good, and you know, pork ribs is probably one of the things, and obviously we have things like bacon, but in terms of like, would I rather have a beef loin or a pork loin? I'd rather have a beef loin. Would I rather have a roast, a beef roast or a pork roast? I'd rather have a beef roast. Yeah, I mean, for me, for me, if we're going to assume that all the proteins that I have had are available for me to have, we're just going to like rank proteins of the ones that I've eaten. I'm going beef and venison at like 1A, right? Those two are right top tier. Beef and venison are going to be right up the upper echelon of fucking vegetable or of proteins. And then I'm probably going to go right behind that with, and now, mind you, I've never had anything other than ground bison, but I'm going to go with bison being third. And then, and this is just land proteins, by the way. This isn't including fish like shrimp and lobster and anything like that. But, and then I'm probably going to move into poultry. That I'm going to go with duck, chicken, and turkey. Those are all basically in the same category. And then I'm going to go with like wild boar. And then I would put pork. Like if I have all of them available to me, pork is going to be the last one that I'm going to pick. It's just me. I don't think bison is. I think bison is more similar to deer in a way, because it's so much more lean than a cow is, and because of the gaminess that comes with it, because there's. If you know what gaminess tastes like, then you know what gaminess tastes like, and I can't really I can't formulate what gaminess tastes like, but there's something about wild game that tastes different than, domesticated stuff. And I don't know, there's something in the flavor. I don't know how to like articulate what it is, but I think I would say it's closer to venison than it is to beef. In a way you think, yeah, it's close to beef, and in a way you're right, it is close to beef, and it's a red meat, but venison's a red meat too. And so I think it's closer to venison than it is to beef. It's significantly more lean. Were you running a shoddy unrated? Persistent. We're doing a pan-seared, oven-roasted chicken thigh with oven-roasted Brussels sprouts. I'm just going to do olive oil, garlic, salt, and pepper. Nothing crazy. I don't like complicating vegetables when it comes to that. I think vegetables have this amazing uniqueness, and each one of them is great in its own right, and I don't like complicating that. I don't like messing with that. I don't like changing up what it really brings to the table in that term. So you want to fire shotgun them tactically. I love that you keep saying tactically. So, and then I'm making a jambalaya-esque rice. The reason I say jambalaya-esque, or like in the spirit of, is jambalaya is typically a one-pot meal. You're typically going to have your chicken and your sausage and your shrimp all in the same rice dish, right? It's going to be like a one-pot meal. I'm doing the chicken on the side, and then I'm doing the rice without any seafood in it, and I'm not using like andouille sausage like you would classically use. I don't know if you guys remember when we did the stuffed mushrooms, but I have the leftover sausage, that with the ground sausage with the spinach and the roasted red peppers in it. I have the leftover of that, so I'm gonna make balls of this, and we're gonna throw this in the bottom of the pan. This is gonna be the sausage for the jambalaya rice. So it's gonna be, there's gonna be some hot sauce in it. I'm gonna use the Kashmiri chili powder that I have to give it a little bit of that picante, spicy type of vibe. But ultimately, Alexa, shut the timer off. But ultimately, I'm not making a classic jambalaya. So it's just gonna be in the essence of type of thing. So I'm just cooking dinner. Like that's the best way to say it. I'm not making a dish in the sense of the word. Am I tactically cutting up the veggies? Have you seen me use a knife before? Persistent. Is this your first time here while I'm cooking? I don't know if you guys heard me mention this the other day or not. Both of my towels have a little bit of moisture on them. Both of these towels are a little damp. There's some water on them. Do not grab hot pans with wet towels, ever. Grabbing a hot pan with a wet towel is as bad, and I think it's actually worse than grabbing a towel. If I grab that cast iron out of the oven barehanded, it would hurt less than if I do it with a wet towel. Don't ever fucking do it with a wet towel. Always a dry towel. I'm actually just gonna cut up some more vegetables here, real quick. I'm gonna give that garlic bread another. I don't know. Yesterday I did 20 minutes. The timer was on for 20 minutes. I probably let it go another 3 or 4 minutes, and then I pulled it out, and it was still too soon. Today we did 28 minutes, so I'm probably gonna let it go another 2 minutes. I'm probably gonna let it go another 2 minutes, and then I'll I don't want this to be too thin. Ideally, when I'm eating the rice here, I want to be able to grab, a bite of celery. I don't want it to be like I would if it was. That's probably enough. I don't know what that is. Valkyrie, no idea what that is. So I want the veggies in here to be visible, right? I'm going to do red and yellow. When I cut peppers, some people might cut out the top and just cut it in half and pop out the seeds and the stem on the top. And the reason I'm tapping it out right now, what's up, faction? Thank you very much for the 7 streak. Caribou? I've never had caribou. Is that what tuktu is? Oh, yeah. In terms of my adventurousness, Valkyrie, I'm willing to eat pretty much anything. And I think that unless a chef is allergic to something, even if they don't like it, they should always be willing to taste it. And the example that I use, and I know it's an outdated recipe, you probably won't find it on too many menus anymore, if any, but linguine and white clam sauce is a common dish. It was a common dish when I was first starting out cooking, and I fucking hated it. It's just garlic and parsley and clams, with some stock, finished up with butter, crushed red pepper, and you toss it all together. Nothing crazy. And white wine. And I fucking hated it. But I know exactly what it's supposed to taste like because every time I had to fucking make it, I tasted it. Because it doesn't matter if you don't like it. You should know how your food tastes before you send it out. This looks amazing. And hopefully it's completely finished. I don't know if you guys can see that. But I'm not going to shut the oven off because of the fact that we're going to be roasting vegetables and shit. So we're going to leave the oven on. I am going to get this pan away from the heat though. In about 10 minutes after this is cooled down a bit, we're going to get that, we'll get that out of the Are we allowed to eat it? Valkyrie? Let me rephrase that. Are we allowed to hunt caribou? Yeah. Oftentimes those dishes or those foods are only allowed to be hunted by natives during certain times of year, and you know what I mean? So I cut them in half, and I'll cut them in half again, and then I'm just running my knife flat to cut out the rib of the pepper. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's not really because it's an inedible aspect of it, although the white part will be more bitter. It's really about trying to get it flat and easy to cut and easy to work with. Do you like it, Dakota? We're just doing a simple dice here. This is for the rice. There's no way you're actually excited about that, bro. I saw that news just before I went live. There's no way you're fucking excited about that. There's no fucking way. I refuse to believe that you're not fucking trolling me right now. Persistent. There's just no fucking way, bro. Again, we're doing a rough chop here. I don't want this fine dice. I want to be able to see and bite into these onions and peppers and celery. I've never had that shit, unfortunately. I've never had gator. I've never had frog legs. I've just never had the opportunity. I'm cutting up way too many vegetables for the amount of rice I plan on cooking. But we love it. The board wasn't moving until I started cutting like this. Again, those of you that have been here before will probably know what I'm about to do. But I'm just putting some wet napkins underneath of it. What's up, Dick? Microplastics. Microplastics from what? What are we talking about? Is there some joke there I don't know about? Oh, the cutting board? What are you going to try and convince me I should be using? A wooden cutting board that is nearly impossible to fucking clean efficiently unless you have a fucking steam cleaner? Or are you going to tell me I should be using a glass cutting board, which is just going to fucking annihilate and eviscerate my knife? I thought you were referencing the cutting board. And if I could clean wood efficiently, I would go with wood for knife health and otherwise. But the truth is that even though I don't have like a super expensive knife, I have had this knife for fucking the better part of 10 years. And it's reliable and it's heavy and I like it and it's comfortable. And I don't want to beat the shit out of my knife's edge. Like, simply put, I don't want to beat the shit out of the knife edge. You know what I mean? Glass, there's no chance in hell I'm ever using glass. Which brand is this? I believe it's like a Faberware or something like that. Give me a second. I'm going to clean up the counter real quick because the counter is starting to annoy me. No. Let me cut this onion. No, so I am a big fan of Henkel's. And I had a Henkel once. And a chef that I worked for gave no fucks about what I wished and told him to do. What I told him to do was never let that fucking knife truck that used to drive through and sharpen the knives on this fucking grinding wheel that he fucking had in the back of his fucking box truck. What I told him to do was never to let it go onto that fucking thing. And he wasn't fucking... He let him do it anyways. And it annoyed the fucking shit out of me. The knife wasn't even dull. It annoyed the fucking piss out of me, bro. So, I'm a big fan of Henkel. I mean, it's just a good knife. But part of the reason I prefer Henkel over somebody like Wusthof. Part of the reason I prefer Henkel over Wusthof is because Henkel, for me anyway, the balance and in particular the handle. The handle of the knife is significantly better than the Wusthof. I don't know. I mean, I only worked for a handful of chefs. I didn't hate all of my chefs. In fact, I think I loved most of my chefs on some level or another. I mean, all of them taught me one thing or another. There was a couple that I worked for that were just fucking morons. And this isn't some fucking cocky fucking know-it-all fucking attitude type of thing that fucking all cooks have. But, you know, when you've been cooking for fucking 20 years and you're working with a guy who went to fucking college and he tells you something as fucking stupid as we don't have time to make chicken stock, I'm unsympathetically and unapologetically going to lack fucking patience for his fucking moronicness. Sorry. We don't have time to make chicken stock is arguably the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire career as a fucking cook. We don't have time to make chicken stock is obnoxiously fucking stupid. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of that, it's, yeah. It's about time to get this out of the does anybody else know how to make chicken stock? I'm going to be honest. In terms of Kitchen Nightmares, like I think Kitchen Nightmares is embellished a bit for TV. If I'm being completely honest, I believe that it is. I wish I had gotten this pan hotter. I wish I had gotten this pan hotter before I did this, because it's not quite as crispy as I would like it. But I'm going to leave this upside down for now because I want the bottom to get some air for a second and cool off. And then I'm going to flip it over and leave it on there. Biggie with the raid. It's super fucking easy just to make it right. To make it just about any stock. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there's complexities to making it. And there's ways to make it good. And there's ways to make it better. But obviously making stock is, I mean, it's a fundamental principle of fucking culinary arts. And to have somebody that came out of college with a fucking education try to tell me that, and that was the last guy I worked for. I was like, that's it, I'm done. I'm tapping out, I'm gone. I quit. And I fucking begged my brother to give me a job at his fucking home improvement contracting company. And I worked for him for the next fucking 6 years before I started streaming in 2020. Like, I can't, I couldn't continue to do it. I couldn't continue to be the guy that was working the line, working for people that would say things of that nature to me, of that level to me. I had a chef at one point or another try to convince me that I should have fucking picked the steak up off the floor to sell it when I had fucking dropped the goddamn thing and I threw it away. And it's yeah, I have a certain level of standards, and I have a certain level of, and listen, the reality is that 99% of the people in the kitchen industry are never going to do anything like that. But, I was working on the line. And the chef said, how long on that steak? And I said, 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, he asked me how long on the steak again. And I said, 5 minutes. And he said, that's what you told me last time. And I said, yeah, well, I had an issue. He comes around the corner. He asks what the issue was. I told him I fucking dropped it. And he said, well, next time. And I fucking snapped him quick to fucking shut up. And I said, the next time I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to fucking throw it away again too. And you're going to fucking leave right now before I freak out about what the fuck you were about to say to me. Like, there are some fucking people, you're going to find it everywhere you go. It's not just culinary arts. And I'm sure I'm not the first fucking guy that just decided to fucking tap out. But realistically, I shot myself in the foot in the beginning of my career by fucking calling out sick when I was healthy and going to work sick and just not giving a fuck. I was good at it, and I was always going to be good at it. And I had 2 or 3 chefs tell me that I was arguably the best fucking guy that they had when I showed up. And I you know what I mean? So I definitely fucking killed my own progress for advancing inside the kitchen. But I knew what I was doing, and I knew how to do it, and I knew how to do it well, and I loved doing it, and I could do it easily. But eventually I just got to a point where I couldn't keep working for people that didn't care about it as much as I cared about it. I couldn't keep watching people fucking do things that just didn't make any sense, that weren't efficient, I love cooking. You guys might have picked up on this from hearing me talk about food and watching me do this. And I love cooking. I love food. And it's so complex and so beautiful and such a wonderful thing. And simultaneously, it's so fucking easy to do. And it's shitty to see people fuck with it and ruin it. I don't know. It's just one of those things that I had to give up. I had to quit. I couldn't keep doing it. It just is what it is, man. It is what it is. Some of it's self-inflicted. Some of my it's just some of my consequences. I did it to myself on some level. I should have been a chef long before I got there. I should have been a chef long. I had the talent and the ability to be a chef long before I gave up. Well, I dealt with things like that earlier on in my career as well. And on some level, it comes down to me and my ability to ignore shit and drive through shit. I hate to say it. I don't know. Maybe I was always supposed to stream, but it's funny because if you hear me talk about it, I wasn't supposed to stream 10 years ago. If I'd have started streaming 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have been canceled, man. Somebody would have said something remotely close to halfway to sideways next to me in the fucking chat or in the fucking game, and I would have lost my shit. I would have jumped off a fucking cliff, and I would have said some fucking crazy shit. Nothing bannable because I'm not that type of person, right? I don't say hateful things. I don't hate anybody, but as a reactionary thing, I would have freaked out and I would have cussed somebody out for nothing. And it's just not an approachable thing, right? And now I've matured and I'm older and I'm calmer and I don't know, and maybe again, I still may not end up being able to do this. Maybe I have to go get a fucking job, but I don't know. I had to grow up, man. I had to grow up. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, Dick. I'm just learning as I go. Still to this day at 44 years old, man. I'm just trying to figure out every day how to do today the right way, man. And tomorrow I'm going to wake up and try to figure out how to do tomorrow the right way. I don't think I did anything inherently right or wrong. I just made some mistakes. And I don't regret those mistakes because all of those mistakes ultimately led to my current perception on life and my current philosophy about life and how I am now. And I smile and I want to spread joy and I want to think about things and I want to have deep conversations about things. You know what I mean? I had to walk down that road to get here. So it just is what it is, man. Yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. I had it rough growing up, and those things kind of fucking stunted my growth a little bit. And I had to learn how to let go of shit. I had to learn how to forget about shit and just be happy. But again, I don't want to change any of it. I want all of it. It's all mine. It's all my story. It's all my life. And I just want to continue to, I don't know, try to spread positivity and fucking joy. I'm cutting up, by the way, these tomatoes. These tomatoes are going in the rice at the end. At the very end, I will fold these in. I don't want these to cook at all. I want these to be room temperature. Fuck no. Fuck no. I don't, you know, somebody asked me a couple months ago that their parent does a podcast and it's just kind of about life and how people have come to be where they're at and just talking, you know, from a point of and I thought about it and I talked to Butterfly about it and I mean ultimately I decided that I don't really like I don't know, man. Even you, Peach, how long have we known each other? We've met each other in real life. And even you, Peach, only knows that I've had it rough, right? That it wasn't easy. That there were some things that were fucked up. Some things that I still fucking live with that never go away, that I've just learned how to accept and I just had to learn how to live with and I don't talk about it, right? But I don't talk about it. So when it comes to writing a book or when it comes to fucking I appreciate that you think maybe I could or should, but that feels like there's a couple things with that. It feels like arrogance. It feels like I think I know something and I don't think I know anything. I don't think I know a fucking thing at all. I'm just like everybody else. I'm just trying to fucking get through today the best way that I can. I don't know anything. I don't know a fucking thing. That's the only thing I know for sure is that I don't know fucking anything. I don't know anything. But whatever happened in my life and whatever had happened in my childhood is mine. And I don't want any of you guys or anybody for that matter to look at the people that impacted my life in a negative light because I don't, because I've let it go and it's not for you to carry that feeling for them. And so like I also don't want sympathy. I don't want you to feel bad for me. Thanks, Benny. Thanks, Benny. Nah, I don't want people to feel bad for me, and I don't want people to hold malice and bad feelings for the shit that happened to me. It's not for you guys. And I don't mean that personally. Like that's not an offensive attack. It's just it's mine. It's mine. It's my burden to carry. I don't know. Some weird fucking I don't know. I'm moving all the vegetables off of the counter now. I'm moving everything off of the counter because I'm pulling the poultry out and I don't want it to contaminate anything. Peach, don't do it. Peach, don't do it, brother. Peach, don't do it. Peach, you have no business chowing me in a 1v1. You definitely don't want to chow Benny in a 1v1, bro. He's fucking baiting you just to fucking beat the piss out of you. Don't do it, Peach. He's a bully, Peach. He's a fucking bully. I don't know where. Nah, it ain't about not wanting to smoke. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, OG's Labs, this is for him. Do we have a clear view of the cutting board here, right? All right. So, OGs, you were talking about wanting, I'll end up having to make a video out of this. I'm cutting this excess skin off because it's just going to end up being soggy and dangly shit. I'm going to save it, but, oh, Peach got gunny though? That's what we're saying? All right, so, if you can see this chicken here, we got the bone, the chicken thigh. OGs was telling me that he can't find boneless chicken thighs that have the skin on them. Everywhere he finds a boneless chicken thigh, it's been de-skinned. So I'm going to do this on the board, but you're going to want to cut down directly on the bone. You're going to put the tip of your knife in, a very sharp knife. You're going to put the tip of your knife in. This is the only one that I'm deboning, by the way. I want the bones in these chicken thighs. Right down this little muscle fiber. If it's there, use it. If it's not, you know. But you're going to cut straight down this, and then you're going to take the knife and you're going to go down on either side of the bone. Then you'll come in behind it. In many cases, you can just fucking reach in there and you can pull it off. But you're trying to connect. The spirit of what you're trying to do here, I don't know if you can see that. You're trying to cut the connective tissues that are connected to the bone off the bone. I'm going to wash my hand because my right hand is dirty as fuck now. So, right down the bone. If you have to do it twice, fine, but you'll see the meat will start to separate. And then just trace the bone. You're really just tracing the bone. You're trying to cut the connective fibers right off of the bone. Once you get to a point where it's kind of flat, you can get underneath of it completely, like you're not cutting multiple angles. You're just holding the edge of your knife, and I'll pull this over and I'll show you again. Now, I just cut that off, and I can feel. I just cut that off, and I can still feel that there's a piece of cartilage in there. I'm not going to cut downward on that. I'm going to get the knife up underneath of that. Be careful. Use a sharp knife. Once you're underneath of that, move your hand out from in front of it and get behind the knife. And bada boom. So, ideally, you're not taking much of any meat off of that bone. When I say, I mean it, I don't know if you can relate this to fish, but when I'm cutting down this, you're just running the edge of the knife on the bone. It's always in contact with the bone. As long as it's always in contact with the bone, don't deep in, don't angle in. Just let it run on the bone. And as long as you're doing that, you're always going to end up taking minimal amounts of meat off the bone. What's up, Tearful? Oh, that's fantastic. Wait, on YouTube vertical, Tearful? Not YouTube, right? I gotta wash my hands and go fix that. I may just have to shut off the vertical. Thank you, Tyr. I don't think I have the camera set up. I don't think I have the source set up for vertical. I love that though. That's fucking great.